I was gonna make a joke about Yura burning alive, but it looks like we're getting Yura backstory on this first page alone. Let's get going! What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do mean to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact. Yeah! Being like Manga, you know what time it is. It's Kagurabachi that time. And that means it's big every week and I got a pre-draw, but I'm excited and intrigued. We're clearly in the past of Yura. And I'm seeing that off like the first panel in the ring on the finger of this woman, who very likely is not alive anymore. Just based off this, I'm very, very excited. My toes are curled a little bit. So let's not waste any more time. Forget what happened in the last chapter. Let's hop right into it. Ugh. Yura, is it ready yet? Smells amazing. Yeah, so like, if not married, that's a fiance. Let's see. Almost. Hang on.
As we approach 1 month since the end of the war.
Since the end of the war. Okay, interesting.
Since the end of the war, efforts are underway to rebuild the war-torn area, step by step.
It's so weird. I can't believe things are just back to normal. Hup. So interesting. I mean, we're getting Yura backstory. Alright. Let's see.
Praying for peace, Master Swordsmith Kunishige Rokuhira vows to enshrine the blades.
All thanks to the war heroes. I know, right? Okay, so we're getting some big juicy drops right here. So Yura's old enough to be married, or at least have a fiance, by the time of right after the end of the Seitei War, which took place 18 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, right? So this may even be before the birth of Chihiro. Chihiro may be in his mama's belly right now. I'm trying to think of when this would be taking place. So Yura was an adult at this time. And he clearly wasn't, well actually no, I won't go too deep into the idea that he wasn't affected. Let me get a little bit further to the backstory before I start theorizing too much. But it looks like he wasn't seemingly involved at all with the war. Maybe, let's see. I know, right? Oh, interesting. So Akimoto Soga is reading his memories right now. Alright, interesting, let's see. These must be Yura's memories. I think I'll give him a voice like this. I don't want to give him the same deep cadence I give Yura himself. So I think I'll go with this. Feels like it fits the character a little bit more. Just a hint of rasp, a little bit of butter in the back of my throat. Not butter, wrong word. But I think I'll go with this. Let's see. These must be Yura's memories. That day, I saw the right answer. I approve of the malediction. That is a very interesting perspective. Like, especially since Yura seemed chill. At least so far in this flashback, in this one page I've read so far. Let's see. He must have lived in an area that was ravaged by the war. Well, maybe not. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So this is post-war, but clearly something bad is about to happen. I can tell by the cutoff at the bottom of this panel. Let's see. From now on, we can rest easy, knowing they'll protect this country, and all of us. Oh gosh, I'm dying. I'm so hungry. Just a minute. Is he delusional right now? What's happening here? Let's see. Just a minute. Alright, what tragedy am I about to see on this next page? Interesting, though. I do wonder, like, how does he feel? Like, how does Akimoto Soga feel about the remnants of the war? This also is interesting, right? This confirms that thanks to the link with the Shinichi that Yura has established through spirit energy, now he's currently wielding the blade. Or the Magatsumi. Akimoto, while he stopped digging in Yura's mental guts, he is still linked heavily enough to at least be able to read his memories. But this does also imply that he still hasn't gotten to any of the Chihiro memories, any information about that. And he also isn't seeing a direct live feed of the current battle. So that's interesting. And I do wonder what's going to happen with Chihiro attempting to use Samura's flames to burn up the connection of Yura and the Shinichi. Let's take a look. Let's see. Just a minute. Oh. Alright, we're cutting right back to the one. Alright. Chapter 104, Heroes. In quotation marks. Let's see. So yeah, they're burning in midair right now. We shall go together, type beat. Alright. Let's see. Okay. Just the very... Yo. What do you mean yours gargling on just the tip? Let me see. Only the Shinichi has the unique ability to transcend its eternal contract, allowing another, someone not contracted to the sword, to wield just the very tip of its powers. The price they pay is that it consumes their body. The Magatsumi? Or Akemura? Which one? You say it, that sounds like the sword. It didn't say he. But yours been calm ever since Akimoto stopped. What's happening? Chat 104 Hero. Oh, let me see. Let's see. That it consumes their body. We know from the way the storehouse was collapsing on that day that it exhausts spirit energy of whoever governs that sorcery. Okay, good. I'm using the Yura voice properly here. Let's see. We know from the way the storehouse was collapsing on that day that it exhausts spirit energy of whoever governs that sorcery. To draw forth more of the Shinushi's powers, it forcibly alters the user's body. As a result, the more the body is consumed, the greater the power it can command. Ah, and so that's why the flowers keep popping out of Yura. That's actually crazy. And especially since knowing that Akimoto himself is like, "Ayo, gang, I'm big chillin', dog." Lose it. And then that's layers on layers of interesting here. Because number one, now we know why. I thought it was still like lingering effects of Akimoto trying to take over. No, the Makatsumi itself is working to consume and rewrite the user's body. But the reason this is interesting is obviously this still counts as like external nerve damage. We see him bleeding from it, right? We see Yura bleeding from it. We saw Kyora bleeding from it. But we now know the whole point of the Makatsumi, according to last chapter, is to amp the stats of those wielding it by draining the life force of those affected by its abilities. Right? So how does that work? It's damaging you, but it's healing you? So like how much of Kyora's death was a cause of him actually, how much of it was the sword, the Makatsumi, altering his biology to the point where he couldn't maintain it anymore? And how much of it was Akimoto himself being like, "No, I don't like you," and like beaming him? Because clearly some of it truly is the sword itself, right? Like, well, Akimoto is definitely established to be in full control of himself while wielding the Makatsumi. And the Makatsumi itself doesn't see, like, it's, I don't know, the more and more I hear about it, the more and more I'm learning about it, it just does give me heavy Keyblade vibes. Like, it's sentient to some degree. The true realms of these blades, like, they're somewhat interactable. The fact that it's forcibly changing the user's body against the user's will, and seemingly even against Soga's will, who stopped infecting or stopped drilling into Yura's head. That's interesting. Let's see. The more the body is consumed, the greater power it can command. But consumed is the apt word there. So even though it's draining life force from people around it, it still is in a position to still slay. Like, essentially, that must mean the life drain is very inefficient. Or like maybe I'm trying to rationalize it, right? Because for all intents and purposes, if it truly does work like that, and it's the blade itself that is slowly but surely slaying whoever uses it that's not Akimoto Soga, or maybe it was even slaying Akimoto Soga himself as he wielded it, then that means that despite the massive lifesteal that Kyora was getting through using the malediction, presumably on those people, spawning the flowers, and the flowers essentially feeding the energy back to him, it was still not enough. Meaning the energy consumption must not be, it's not a one-to-one. You trade life energy for life energy, and then you get an amps from that. You must, like, it must cost so much energy to wield the Makatsumi at all. And then that extra life energy that's being drawn in to buff the user is only enough to buff the user if they're not simultaneously using sorcery. Because that's the other big thing, right? Kyora was forcefully maintaining the storehouse at the same time as he was wielding the Makatsumi. So maybe he just went through too much spirit energy drain instead of draining spirit energy and life force from other people around him. So maybe that's why Yura's been able to resist it for so long, because he still hasn't used the real sorcery. We don't know what Yura sorcery is, despite being over 100 chapters into the manga just yet. So I don't know. We're in an interesting position. Let's see. The flames of Suzaku repair that damaged nervous system. Interesting that it is truly like a dualistic thing. The flowers are still not just a sign of destruction for others, but a sign of destruction for the wielder too. Let's see. The flames of Suzaku repair that ravaged nervous system. Yeah, okay, and you see the black slowly begin to break out of his eyes here. All right. Let's see. How does Yura respond, though? How's Yura respond? He's got to clutch out. Oh, interesting. Lies! To bring order to this world. The Hishaku were behind all of it. It's all your fault. You call this the greater good? Let go of the enchanted blade. Something's about to go wrong. Something really about to go wrong. But I've seen, you know what, funnily enough, Kagurabachi's done so well for itself. I've seen people start to turn on Chihiro and say, oh, he's not that good of a main character. That's kind of crazy to me. I think Chihiro's story so far, because obviously it's nowhere near done yet. Well, maybe, no, I don't think it's anywhere near done yet. But Chihiro's story of legacy and perception is so especially like in our current world, right? Like I'd say maybe like if Kagurabachi came out at the same time that like Dragon Ball was coming out. Obviously it wouldn't, but like still, if it were coming out like the same time as Dragon Ball, right? Where the internet and like intercommunication and interperception like wasn't as prevalent, and communication in the internet was still a lot more smaller scale. They think the whole idea of perception and legacy wouldn't hit as hard as it does now, because we know now in the modern day how important your perception is, how important your legacy is, because opinions and beliefs and ideas about you can be spread so easily now, and people can have their various different interpretations of you, whether they've met you or not, and this works so well as a story of our modern day because Chihiro is a character actively fighting to define his own legacy, actively fighting to rewrite the interpretations of the Enchanted Blades in their history, actively working to rewrite his own perception of them, of how he views the Sword Bearers, how he views his own father, how he views the Enchanted Blades that he came to love and wanted to create himself. Like, that story of ever consistent, ever evolving beliefs in oneself and how one interacts based on the circumstances around you, it's really, really good. Chihiro's a fantastic main character, and he has great dynamics with every single one of the main villains he's had so far. From, obviously, Sojo himself, into Yura, into Hirohiko, into Yura. Like, he's been talking. Even his relationship with Samura, when Samura was an antagonist, despite how short-lived it was, and how at least it feels very short-lived. That's really, really good. Like, he's one of the best pound for pound in terms of, like, new gen antagonists actually having dynamics with every single villain. If I have one critique for MHA, it's that, like, despite Midoriya having a bunch of antagonists that he fights, he doesn't really have, like, too many strong dynamics with any of them. At least not, like, heavy parallels to them outside of, like, vague general heroes and villain stuff. But Chihiro, no, that man's deep in the trenches with it. I love that. But let's see. Let go of the Enchanted Blade! Oh. Alright, clearly Yura's not letting go. Let's see. Alright, okay, they landed. So they were still falling off the sky here. So they essentially turned to, like, a flaming meteor. Alright, do they land on a roof? Let's see. Boom, looks like a roof because of the systems on top. Let's see. Alright, and they stand. Let's see. We only made the minimum sacrifices necessary to wield the Magatsumi. I'm gonna keep calling it the Magatsumi because it is the Magatsumi. I know it's called the Shinuchi in the text. Like, just like the Sword Master is really the Sword Saint in the original text, I'm gonna keep calling it the Magatsumi because that's its name, and I want to get it in my head that that's its actual name, not the Shinuchi, which I've had it in my head for so long. Let's see. Necessary sacrifices to wield the Magatsumi. You think it's the Shaku's fault. The world's hardly any different from before we began our crusade. The Rakuzachi was operating for far longer. Well, interesting that this gives Chihiro pause, though. You can see he's even sweating. He has an ellipses here. Let's see. The Rakuzachi was at the forefront of numerous illicit organizations that preyed on the defenseless. After the war, when sorcerers became a visible presence in society, their activities further intensified. See, I loosely see what angle Yura's going for, right? He's essentially, if I had to hazard a guess before Yura goes into it, yeah, he's kind of already said this before. Yura says, if bad things are going to happen anyway, I might as well be the person to judge which bad things happen. Sure, people will die. People will lose their lives, worlds will be destroyed, people need to perish, but ultimately, it's all for the greater good. A world where everyone can be safe, everyone can be happy because of a great higher power. It's very similar, unironically, Yura is very similar to Pain, or Nagato in that sense, where, at least in Nagato's mind, since he didn't really know about the Eye of the Moon plan, at least fully, I forget if that's like, I think he didn't know. I think he thought he was going to essentially use the Bijou by Click Them All as like a massive super weapon to become a threat that the entire world would have to look up to and fear that they would lose to him immediately if he dared do that. And of course, in order to even reach those points, he had to slaughter countless people. And he ultimately was like, the end justified the means, because what about my village? What about my people? What about my love? And of course, he ended up disagreeing with himself at the end. He ended up changing course. But he held that belief based on what he saw. And I'm assuming Yura's in a very similar position where he's like, things were bad. And if anything, we've made things better. And we can keep making things better. As long as we have more and more and more power. And the Shinuchi is the pinnacle of power. The Magatsumi is. So I should wield it for myself. We should have that power. We should be able to judge in order to protect as many people as possible. It's a very, ironically enough, Sinbad and Cohen style belief of like the ends will justify the means. All this suffering here in the present and the remnants of the past for a greater future. Very common, actually, but in terms of narratives. When I'm thinking about it, let's see. Activities further intensified. Oh, interesting. So he's still losing it and he's still falling, but now we're actually seeing some genuine emotion out of Yura. Let's see. After the war, for years, people everywhere were exploited and victimized. It was beyond the Kabunabi's control. Human beings can only do so much. But with the enchanted blades, with the Magatsumi, everything could have been different. Oh. So I wonder what happened to his fiance's wife. Was she taken by the rocket? I mean, that'd be a crazy way to tie that back in. Let's see. The Hishaku's fault. Who sealed away the enchanted blades? Who held the means of eradicating evil and just disappeared? Your father made the world like this. Interesting. That's an interesting, but like, it's an interesting perspective. But I did like, clearly, Yura has gone through something that makes him believe this. But I think he failed. Even, how do I put this? Unless one were to become a Flash-like or a Superman-like, Kryptonian-like level entity, evil. It's all these series getting down to these complicated. And I'm assuming is this meant to be? Yeah, his wife. He lost his wife to like possibly to the Rakuzachi or style similar, or his wife or fiance. You can see it here. That's the same hand with the ring on it. Same blonde hair, or at least white hair as it's drawn here. And something happened to her, seemingly shortly after the war. All right. So yeah, it's that experimentation because there's no one. But unless one were to become a perfect, most idealized embodiment version of like a Flash style or Superman style entity, right? Where by feats alone, like Flash could stop all crime, right? Superman could stop all crime. They are literally so fast that they can move through time through sheer speed alone. Like they are that fast, but they don't, right? Because admittedly, you still need to write stories. But in terms of like an in-universe example, what Yura is attempting to, he's essentially attempting to become that sort of entity. That being that stops all evil, stops all crime, stops all negativity, stops all things from being bad by having the absolute power of the Shinichi. But I don't think the Shinichi is enough. Like he says himself, human beings can only do so much. And at the end of the day, despite the sword wielders, despite the sword bearers, essentially becoming like gods, they're still demi-gods. They're still mortal men. They're still human beings at the end of the day, right? All that power can still only be in one place at one time. Freerin just did something very, very interesting with this recently, where there is like a character that was recently introduced that had all the power in the world to stop something, but they just weren't there. Because you can't be everywhere. Unless, once again, like you are a Flash/Superman style entity that can basically just do omnipresence whenever you feel like it. Or essentially at the rate that most people move, it would essentially be omnipresence, right? Like technically, I think there was like a comic here there where Flash did basically get omnipresence. But like, with how fast Flash is, with his feats, if he wanted to, all crime could just cease to exist in an instant, right? Even less than an instant, a nanosecond, gosh darn it. That's how good and fast and juicy and dangerous the Flash is, right? Same thing with Superman, levels of speed he's shown sometimes dumps to be crazy. But the Shinichi and just the way that the Kagurabachi world has been set up and the established power of the Enchanted Blades, it's not enough. It's not perfect enough. It's not great enough. Though I understand what Yura believes. He believes if there was anybody still wielding that power, if there's anyone who still had that strength. This is interesting, though, because this seems to seemingly completely disconnected from the island. So any theories of Yura possibly being from the island seem to be thrown out the window. But the idea that Yura believes in is that if someone had that power, if Roku Hira hadn't made the wrong choice, maybe his wife would still be alive. Maybe all the people sacrificed to the Rakuzachi, the many events like it, would still be alive. Maybe the world would be better if someone was actually willing to wield all of that divinity, all of that power that is stored within them. It was stored within the blades. And he's trying to be that person. He made minimal sacrifices. But even still, part of me doesn't fully buy this. because of what we've seen him do with the Datenseki, with working with Sojo, with working with the Rakuzachi in the first place. Like all the things that Yura's done, even they were quote unquote minimal sacrifices. That's according to his own beliefs. His own, like, what truly is the value of a human life? Does anyone have the right to decide that? I don't really think so. But Yura believes he does know. He does know the empirical value of how many lives he sacrificed. But even then, we've seen he's been willing to freestyle. He's willing to free ball, essentially, with how he let Hirohiko handle everything for a little bit. Because he had the backup. He may be a calculating mastermind driven by this lack of control in his world. But he cannot be absolved of guilt for how many people he's put in the exact same situation that his own fiance ended up in. Once again, Yura, in a way, has become the monster that he so desperately wants to fight against. And I do like that. Especially for a main antagonist, which is what Yura is right now. Let's see. Your father made the world like this. Yo, the mileage he's getting out of this panel, bro. I'm telling you. This may be a slightly different panel. I can't tell. But the mileage he's getting out of this angle of this panel is so good, bro. But once again, I do like how this plays into the legacy and the information. And once again, I talked about how every single antagonist is played in Chihiro in one way. The relationship that Chihiro has with the Enchanted Blades and his father, and what legacy they've left, and the choices that he's made. That is what Chihiro's about. The idea of legacy and perception and all that. And now Yura, once again, just like Yura, just like Hirohiko, just like Sojo, he's another major antagonist, directly questioning the choices, the idea, the existence of the Enchanted Blades, what they could do, what they are, and did Rokuhiro make the right choice by sealing them away, by hiding them away, for fear of a man he didn't even bother to talk to, his brother-in-law that we now know. He didn't even talk to him, seemingly enough. We don't know, because Rokuhiro's dead. But, like, he didn't even seem to communicate with him and asked him, what do you feel about the malady? Like, there was no conversation. Rokuhiro, if anything, did, in a way, become judge, jury, and executioner as he decided to lock all the blades away and seal them within himself. And did he have the right to do that? To choose where all that power would go, or in this case, not go? Maybe not. Maybe he did. And I love the complications of it. Like, the Kagurabachi is so good, so good! Let's see. But what is so good thing about all this? Is he still watching the memories? Is he watching the current fight right now? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so Yura managed to whip out another centipede? Okay. So yeah, it didn't work. It burned a lot, but clearly Yura still has a strong enough connection to the Magatsumi in order to still wield its abilities. So, Shiro, you're gonna have to clutch up a different. You better hope Flame Bone comes in to burn with actual fire. Something. Because this ain't working. But Shiro, he ate that. He ate that pretty well. Well, to be fair though, he was still covered in the flames, so maybe he healed off the damage he took. All right, so he ended up in the building, and then Yura ended up in the building as well. So I do wonder, and once again, furthermore, not once again. I guess I'll say once again. Furthermore, is the Magatsumi still consuming Yura? Now that the flames have stopped. Like, is he making pain from the fire? Or is he making pain from the Magasumi's like, oh, thank the heavens, the fire's coming down. Let me eat your heart, bro. Is it Red Lantern ringing him? Where it's just like trying to devour his internal organs right now? Let's see. Okay, look at the flowers coming out. Yeah, but once again, it's consuming. It's not even Soga anymore. That's interesting. And the flowers are popping out. That's very interesting. I'm telling you, bro. I know Hokuzono is a Kingdom Hearts fan. I just can't prove it. Okay, to be fair, though, the whole idea of blades being sentient and being able to choose their wielder is predates Kingdom Hearts. Like, that's like an Arthurian legend kind of thing. Like, it's very old. The idea of, like, certain mystical weapons choosing their wielders and, like, having sentience and their own certain effect. Like, it's not like, a unique thing to Kingdom Hearts. But, like, whenever I think of, like, sentient swords that choose their wielder or have, like, backlashes or effect or will disobey and do certain things, like, the internal contracts themselves, an idea also feels like it's so heavily not Keyblade based, but, like, it reminds me so much of Kingdom Hearts and how the Keyblades work and how each one is registered to their own unique user and no one else can wield them. Except, like, occasionally when they do get wielded, but that seems to be, like, by the will of their respective... Like, there's so much cool stuff here from Kingdom Hearts. Where, like, that's what I get the vibes of. But it's interesting that the blade itself is consuming him. Let's see. Oh, it's consuming him even more intensely. Today and that other time, I feel like another presence. I feel another presence. It must be the Swordmaster. Whether the Swordmaster Oh, interesting. Okay. So, whether the Swordmaster uses the Magatsumi's power to completely devour Yura's body, or whether Suzaku restores the body and expels the Shinichi's encroachment, hangs in the balance of a tug of war. Okay. This is the thing. I still, with knowing that very specifically, so unless he started it again randomly, Soga himself has not been doing this. This is all the Magatsumi, which is very interesting. I'm shocked that the Blade has such a strong antagonistic, like, I feel like that is I was about to say, maybe that's not the right way to describe it. No, it feels like it does have such a strong antagonistic relationship. And I wonder if it's like, is that out of a sense of loyalty? Like, is it like, because there's no way Soga was going through this the entire time, right? Like, there's no way Akamato was building the Blade 18 years ago, and it was doing this to him as well. So, like, is this the way of the Magatsumi manifesting its own true realm in an attempt to get back to its original master? Or is the Blade just evil? like, is the sword just evil? Because as far as we know as readers, this is Shiro making an assumption, right? And he should be wrong on that assumption, unless Soga did truly restart. This is the Blade itself entirely autonomously, which is very interesting. Let's see. Hangs in the balance of a tug of war. Kyori contained it by sheer force of will. In other words, we never saw the full extent of how it consumed him. That is true. That's true. But once again, the Wakatsumi itself, not Soga. Let's see. I have to stop it. Aka, Suzaku. Very cool. All right, so he's got it. So he's switching. So now he's. I think at this point he's given up on Crow. Now he's fully specking into the flame build, which I think is good. He doesn't need to heal, and I hope Samura does come back in to help him. And maybe now they can switch roles, right? Maybe Chihiro can be the more support type, while Samura can go DPS a bit, because they probably do need Samura's speed, because clearly this just isn't enough, as you're still capable of fighting despite the flowers reaching out of him. Let's see. Chihiro comes down, the heavens from the future, and Yura leaps up, the darkness, the ground, the past. Let's see. And they go in. Okay. Interesting, though. This is a beautiful panel, too. This hand alone kind of reminds you of the Gachikuda art style. Gachikuda, whichever one. It reminds you of that art style. Very much. Gives you, like, Rudo hand vibes. But, interesting. So, the burning sword in Chihiro's burning body stabs directly into Yura's shoulder. Meanwhile, Yura gets a swing off, but doesn't seem to actually land the hit. Alright, let's see. Alright, so he gashes out his entire shoulder. No flames, though. No flames. At least not immediately. And then, yeah, it looks like Yura just completely whiffed here. Alright. Oh, he stacked it. Okay, so maybe he didn't. I thought he could only copy one ability at a time. So he's stacking it. Maybe he still does have Crow? Let's see. I do not. I clearly need to reread Kagurabachi again. I don't fully understand how the copying power works. Let's see. Alright. So yeah, Yura actually dropped the Shinichi. The Magatsumi. Okay, interesting. Let's see. Last time, Samura cast the flames, and I merely ignited them. This time, I stacked it with Aka. Okay. Was it an Ishiki? Wait, what is it? It's... You know what? No, we got time, and I got Google. I got the internet. Let me see. N10. Kagurabachi. Let me see. What are its abilities? Because I'm a little confuzzled, I'll admit. Let's see. Kuro unleashes a flying slash of various sizes. Corresponds to the black goldfish. Okay, so it's not Kuro. Aka absorbs an attack that N10's blade came in contact with and can use the attack later to limit the extent. Corresponds to the red goldfish. Okay. So he may still have Kuro because he consumed a whole bunch of Kuro. Alright, so... Interesting, though. How did he stack it with Aka, though? And maybe he's talking about... That's right. I get why he means I stacked it with Aka. So he was already interacting with Suzaku before. So he Aka'd some of that in just to consume it. So he's essentially stacking his own Suzaku flames on top of the lingering ones from Samura's own Suzaku flames. That's what he means when he says he stacked with Aka. Because Nishiki, that's what I was thinking. I was like, isn't Nishiki the one that amps things? What do you mean you were able to stack Aka, the copying thing, with another Aka? But I get that now. Because Nishiki becomes a cloak of spirit energy that greatly enhances Chihiro's physical capabilities, responds to a tricolored goldfish. So when he says, I stacked it, look at me putting things together. When he says, I stacked it with my Aka, he stacked my Aka essentially means he stacked Suzaku on top of Suzaku to try and help fight off the Magatsumi's infection. But let's see if it works. This time I stacked it with my Aka. With a double boost from... Yeah, there. Alright, so look, I was able to turn the page and I would have been answered. Let's see. With a double Suzaku from both of us, it's over. You better grab that sword. You better grab the Shinichi, bro. You better get that thing out of his hands. He dropped it. Go grab it. He dropped it. Go grab it. He dropped it. Go grab it. Let's see. It's over. It's not over, Jiro. I think you made a drastic mistake. I think you may have fumbled the back. Let's see if this works. I don't think it'll work, though. Let's see. Let's see. Dot. Okay. The Bagatsume is burning. You're screaming. Oh no. Oh no, no, I'm scared. This panel is also reused a little bit. Wait, no. Is it the exact same panel? Hold on, let me go back. It's flipped. It may be a slightly different panel. Hold on. You may have redrawn it. It's like the exact same panel. Maybe you just flipped it. Let's see. Not yet. Who? Wait, no. I've lost his voice because I haven't talked about him in a little bit. Who are you? We were nobody. We were nobody. But we needed a hero. There's no way we're actually booming Yura right now, bro. Are we actually getting rid of him right now? That's crazy. There's no way. But it seems like that is an interesting narrative though. That actually is a crazy narrative. The idea that Yura was no one. Okay, now, you may be like, are you glazing based on fan theory? Maybe kind of sort of. If it is true that Yura's nobody, he's just a man, he was a nobody who was dedicated to a cause, and that allowed him to gain this extra strength, this extra ability, gain allies that would follow him through anything, all that. He truly has no royal connections. He wasn't connected to anybody. He was just a man who lost the love of his life, and that sent him down this path of everlasting darkness to the point where he would kill another man, and kill and sacrifice countless other people just to become the quote-unquote hero that was needed. That's actually crazy. That's honestly, it's kind of an inspirational story on one end. And two, it's ever more tragic. It also means there could be another Yura, but I really like Yura himself. I don't want Yura to go. That's great. I don't actually want him to get got. Man, what is with this whole episode? They're just slaughtering these amazing villains. Let's see. But yeah, clearly even Chihiro feels bad. He's like there's something clear that he understands the complications of the choice that his father made, and how that in a way, if Rokuhiro made a different choice, Rokuhiro would still be alive. Well, maybe another person would have come and slain him, but it was Yura. It is the Yoshaku's fault that the narrative is in the way that it is right now. But if he had made a different choice, he would still be alive. It's high likelihood that Yura wouldn't have gone down this path. Yura wouldn't have unmasked the Yoshaku. But we're really going to go this far? Are we going to lose Yura without seeing his sorcery? Let's see. We needed a hero. Relax. Okay, what are you going to do, Akamoto Soga? Oh, okay. So wait. So was he? See, okay. I'm a little confused on that. So was he? Was it the blade or was it him? I thought he had stopped. Maybe he stopped him. Maybe he just stopped to hold the conversation and then to watch a little bit, and then he started it again. Because I don't know. That's weird. Is it the Magatsumi or is it Soga, or are they meant to be one and the same? Are they truly meant to basically be the same Because that's also kind of a thing that usually happens in Kingdom Hearts, where the Keyblade and its wielder become so indistinct that they legit coexist. When you think about it, the Lingering Will is the perfect example of an armor holding the mind and desires, and the Keyblade sticking with that. Notably, and even we see it beyond that, right? Where I believe it's Ends of the Earth, and for some reason it's Wayward Wind. I don't know why. So who pointed it out? Was it regular Pat? No, it wasn't regular Pat. Someone pointed out the fact that every other Birth by Sleep character gets their evolved Keyblade and they keep it. Or by every other, I mean of the main trio, Terra keeps Into the Earth, and I forget what Appa's Keyblade is called, but her evolved Keyblade, that stays with her. It becomes her most iconic Keyblade. Same thing with Terra's Ends of the Earth, which we see the Lingering Will wield. But Ventus, he gets an evolved Keyblade called Lost Memories, and he doesn't get to keep it. He goes back to his base Keyblade of Wayward Wind or whatever it's called. Which makes somewhat sense because he doesn't have all Lost Memories yet because of the Union Cross stuff that was added to his backstory retroactively. Sorry, I'm going on a complete tangent. But all this to say, I wonder if Soga's like that. Maybe he and the Blade truly are indistinct at this point. It's not the Blade that is eating him because of loyalty, and Soga says he stopped, but maybe he didn't stop intentionally. It's all natural. But let's see what because it looks like he's about to transfer and take full control of Yura. Let's see. I'll give you your body back. Hand it all over to me. I understand the situation very well. I'll be the hero. Okay? Interesting, though. He says, I'll give you your body back. So he's going to temporarily take over Yura. And then he's going to manifest the full power of this. Okay, interesting. Interesting that he's down to be the hero, though. I do want more characterization for Soga. If this is the way we gotta get it, Let's see. Alright. So Yura burns up. He closes his eyes. It's black. Akimura's body falls, and looks like he transfers his consciousness. Uh-oh. It's getting strong. Yeah, Chihiro. Man, you should have grabbed the blade, or you should have lit it on fire. You should have done something. You shouldn't have just stood there, man. I get why though. He was lost in thought. But let's see. It's getting stronger. Yep. Okay. The flowers grow, and the blade is oh, they're fried. Oh, they're fried. Oh, they're fried. A very, very W chapter, and not at all in the way I was expecting though. It feel like I'm thinking. Like the chapter's worth it, right? Like you saw me draw it. Like the chapter's still straight at. But I'm thinking. Like, how do I really feel about this? In my heart of hearts, in my kingdom, how do I feel about this? Part of me really, really likes the idea of Yura being nobody. I think the only thing is though, it raises a lot more questions. If Yura truly was just a civilian, if it was just a man, maybe still he was a nobody. He was like, he didn't have any connection to the war, but he still was a man with a lot of potential. I guess that's the thing, right? The world is vast, very large, and very capable of producing things far beyond our comprehension, right? Like, everyone's nobody until they become somebody, right? Like, what's a good example? LeBron James. Arguably, I know, I personally have him as the greatest. Victor Wembanyama, though, I mean, it's gonna be a monster. If he basically already is a monster. Wait for it. I'm gonna sound like even more of an old head soon enough. But LeBron James, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. He has no legacy in the NBA. Not like a Stephen Curry does. Another one of the greatest basketball players of all time. The greatest shooter of all time. I know Kevin Durant's the greatest scorer, then Steph Curry's the greatest shooter. But like, technically, for all intents and purposes, Steph Curry has a legacy, right? His father was in the NBA. And then he went into the NBA. So him becoming something, that makes sense. He was somebody. Michael Jordan was, in fact, we can use both LeBron James and Michael Jordan as examples of this. Because, as far as I know, let me double check the Michael Jordan analogy. The reason I know for a fact LeBron, because LeBron doesn't even know his own father. But, let me see. Who was Michael Jordan's father? Michael Jordan's father was James Jordan Sr. Oh, 1933. Ray married. He was equipment supervisor and close companion to his son. Yeah, okay. So, Michael Jordan, the original greatest basketball player of all time, and then LeBron James, the current one, and then Victor Wembanyama in the future. Well, who knows? I don't know Victor's history. I'm not going to go too deep into it. But essentially, my point here is, they were no one. It was through their hard work, through what was innate talent that was born into them, through their experiences and consistent development, that they became people. They became somebodies. They were nobodies and they became somebodies. There was no legacy. There was no history. There was nothing. They went and carved their own path. And that's essentially what Yura is. He is a man who lost something fundamental to him. This woman that he was married to, this regular life he was living, after the end of the war, he lost that. And it drove him to the point that he was. That he basically is the in-narrative author for the current state of the Kagurabachi universe. The state of Chihiro, state of everything. It's all Yura's fault. But Yura was no one. And part of me doesn't like that. But at the same time, because of the idea that nobody can become anybody, somebody, a name, a history, a face, because that stuff is real. And with enough determination, humans can truly become anything as long as they push themselves hard enough and the right circumstances are met. I actually think I do like the idea that Yura is nobody. No ties to the island. Minimal ties to the war. Other than the fact that he clearly lost his wife to the nature of the world after the war. So still, he's definitely affected by it, but not in the sense that we once thought. Like, at least I and many others thought that Yura had, like, some royal ties to the island that would explain his weird super strength and his lack of need for sorcery, the idea that he had all these money and resources to go on and gather the Hishaku, the idea that the Hishaku looked him and all these extra things. It'd be nothing, because it was just a man who became what he was. And very specifically, him bleeding into the interpretations and general theming of Kagurabachi. What does it mean to have a legacy? What does it mean to have power? What does it mean to be able to control the very world itself with the things that you created, and then deciding to, instead of use that power to control the world, to stop these twisted things such as the Rakuzachi that could lead to the loss of life for countless innocent people? If you remember the poor boy who lost his sister to it, the woman who had ice-like skin, who took her own life instead of going and escaping with Hakuri, all these people, they wouldn't have suffered if Kunishige had made a different choice after the war. And seeing how Yura feeds into that, like all the other previous antagonists, and seeing Chihiro very specifically, clearly, these are not the look of hatred, the vengeance that Chihiro was endlessly seeking. These are not the eyes of someone who's finally reaching a point where they can say that they've gotten revenge. These are the eyes of someone who sees what the person they're fighting is talking about, sees the pain that Yura has gone through, sees the desperation, sees all of that, and feels pity. I think that's important. I think it's fantastic with Chihiro's character. I think his response here, it's funny because he barely talks in the chapter. This truly is a Yura chapter, but at the same time, it is a Chihiro chapter because seeing his burning hatred for Yura be softened into like a gentler flame, essentially, that still knows that it must stop Yura, still knows that like Yura still needs to go, still knows all this, but looks on in pity. It's beautiful in a sad, tragic way. And I even like Akemura's response to it all. Very specifically, if this is true, right, I will give your body back. Hand it all over to me. I understand the situation very well. I'll be the hero. Akemura was presumably another nobody who became somebody. He was someone who had the potential to be a hero, and in his own mind was, doing it all for the sake of his country. And now he sees someone who needs him, and can give him what he needs. And seeing Soga's response to that being, give your everything to me. Since you are no one, return to being no one, if only for a moment, so I can be what you need. It's interesting to see him take that position. And once again, it's going to... that's the thing, everything plays back thematically so well. That's why I say Kagurabachi is not missed yet. Akemura is in many ways the ultimate culmination of what Chihiro's journey is going to be. He is the living legacy, wielding the Makatsumi, the blade that made Kunishige make the choice that he did that led to the entire plot and his own death. So Chihiro finally meeting his own uncle, biological uncle, in the fight, in this place, as he presumably puppets Yura's body. It's going to be interesting. And I'm very interested to see what Akemura does when he meets Chihiro. Because at this point, what does he plan to do? Do I like that Yura may be getting written out of the narrative permanently? Not necessarily. But there still is the rest of the Ishaku. There still is Hirokiko. There still is so much. I don't think Kagurabachi is about to end in like the next 10 chapters or anything like that. I really don't think so. I think we're setting up for a large status quo shift. And I'm very interested to see where that's going to go. But, with that being the case, if you've been all the way to this video, please do me a favor and leave the hero we need. The hero we need in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you're going to have a Patreon down below where you support me for as well as $1 a month. These things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You'll also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reactions for the series I have to review, ad variations of all my videos, unedited access, or unedited early ad-free access to all my videos. If you couldn't tell, the Kagurabachi reviews, unless you are a Patreon member, are kind of jank. It's only because the heavens keep trying to strike me down. I'm literally risking keeping the last one up. Like, chapter 103 is still up at the time of recording because I'm waiting to see if I still get struck down by the heavens despite only showing such a little bit of the chapter. The same case is going to be happening for this chapter, but patrons and members, they get full viewings of the chapters and everything completely untampered and early. This video is being recorded the day the chapter drops on Sunday. It will not be up until Tuesday. So you get early access to that. And on top of the early access to all videos on this channel, you also get early access to all videos on the second channel that got the reaction. I do 45 minute to 2 hour long reaction videos over there. You get them early and ad-free over here as soon as possible. As soon as they're ready, you get early access to them. And on top of that, you get your name listed at the end of every single video on this channel and the second channel as well. And if you're a $3 member, how you don't get your name listed at the end of every single video, you get your name listed and read aloud at the end of every single video as a sign of my thanks. Because trust me, it goes a long way to help your boy out, please. But with it being the case, if you don't want to do a membership thing or a Patreon thing, then you can just drop 5 beans for the short video or 25 beans for the long video or any amount to the Ko-Fi description down below. Any bit helps. Trust me, your boy D's all help me get this world. But regardless, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Adona Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Glacier XZ, Zera, Brandon Payne, J2MA, Yomi, Buddha Ura, Enzo, Swiss Strike, Super Flame Zero, Yuki Ally, Striker Man, Grim, Ollie, The Boy, Corey Watson, Damon Brown, Magic, CCC, Ramondo Furen, Dino, Heath Nelson, Hector Gonzalez, Black Sage, Tim Thomas, Alex Kenny, Kaving, Julian Perez, 8SOA, Akolade Babatunde, Union I, RXN, Nevis97, Sheesh King, Logan Guzman, Karina Hernandez, Window Life, Dead Meme, Karudir, Reina, Christian Carter, Jagoda, Keon Stewart, Donovan McIntosh, Sino King, Hamza Idrisi, BNA DNA, Edwin Igbinoba, Cyan, Straw, Cybersage 12, Athenzi Shear, Antavius Mitchell, Plant Crone, Azo2404, and Create Panem. Then, let's give a thank you to Artline Art Tier patrons: A+A, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, Dreadzoan, and Norgazi Andasov. Then, let's give a thank you to our Ink Tier members: King RTX and Shrimpo the 4th Shrimp 06. And let's give a thank you to our Digital Art Tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. And let's give a final thank you to our Colored Art Tier patrons: Walkie Munoz and Walkie Munoz.